Hey guys, what's good? JJJBoxing. So let's talk about what we just saw last night, the Zhang versus Joyce fight. Let's unpack it. Let's kind of see what's ahead for both fighters. Now, Zhilei Zhang, I don't know if I'm saying his first name right. We'll just call him Big Bang Zhang. Had a big bang knockout of Joe Joyce. Spectacular. Set him up with the straight left. Right hook took him out, and Joe Joyce couldn't make the count. So it was, like I said, it was a dramatic, spectacular. The way he won. Where does it put Zhang now? Like, I think he deserves a title shot, which this was the interim WBO title. So they would be next in line to, I guess, face Usyk, right, for the WBO. But Zhang is calling out Tyson Fury. Nonetheless, I think any of those guys, Zhang deserves the title shot. He's getting up there in age. I think he's 40 years old, which that is old, but for heavyweight, it's a bit different. That's not super old for heavyweight. He still can make a good run at it at 40 years old. If this was other divisions, it'd be harder, but the heavyweight division is different. So, but he needs a title shot ASAP. I seen someone comment that in my video, and I totally agree. He needs to make it happen now. You don't want to wait until like 43 and then he gets a shot, or 42. He needs it now. And him calling out Tyson Fury, I think that would sell huge, just because the UK public knows Zhang a lot now, because he beat the UK fighter twice in Joe Joyce. And so they all know Zhang now, and they all know the Gypsy King. So that would be huge in Wembley Stadium. Anywhere in the UK, it would be huge. So I think Tyson Fury could possibly consider that. But the problem is Usyk is there, and everyone wants to see the Usyk fight, which I agree. I want to see Usyk versus Fury first. But, man, I think if Zhang can get a rematch with Hrgovic and get that win back, because that was a close fight that he lost, his only loss by decision. So if he can get that, imagine he rematched him and he got a knockout, and then Fury or Usyk winner, which I think would be Fury, and then the winner, it would be Fury versus Zhang. That would be huge. Just giant men. The giant Chinaman versus the giant Gypsy. Just going at it. Just huge 280 plus men, 6'5 plus. Tyson Fury's 6'9", I think, right? And Zhang is listed at 6'6". So these guys are just massive men. Both knockout punchers, obviously heavyweight. Both are been like on a tear. Both have ring IQ. It would be a great fight, guys. But yeah, if he can't face Fury, I say Hrgovic rematch, get that back. I think that would be the perfect plan. But does Hrgovic want that? I don't know. They have to pay him quite a bit. I don't think he'll want that smoke unless he's forced to, but you can't force anybody. But yeah, so you got that, Hrgovic, Andy Ruiz. That will get Andy Ruiz if he wants. But the thing is with Andy, he wants a lot of money, and I don't think Zhang has enough to get. Like, they won't have enough money to give Andy. I don't feel like, and that's I don't think Andy would take that, to be honest. Like, Zhang is just like a high risk, low reward. Like, why would you? Like, you got to give respect to Joe Joyce stepping in twice with this man. No one want to fight Zhang, but we'll see in the future who's got to fight him. But yeah, so you got Hrgovic, Andy Ruiz, Wilder. That would be another great fight. I don't even know, man. You would have to. The way I seen Zhang look with his counters and his timing and the way he sets you up and his IQ, and he's got power, man, he can put these guys away. That Wilder would be an interesting fight, because both guys could end it at any time. That's a very good matchup. But yeah, because he's not going to get Fury next, right? So I would say take the Hrgovic route for Zhang. if you can, Andy Ruiz or Deontay Wilder, if they can get one of those. But it's going to be hard to get one of those fighters, to be honest. I don't see that happening. I could see if they pay Hrgovic enough, maybe he'll take it, but I don't know, guys. But you need to give this guy a shot, though. He's got what it takes, I think. Don't phase him out because this guy's a great fighter. So for Joyce, I feel like he's 38, so he's not super old for heavyweight. That's old, but it's not old for heavyweight. The only problem with Joyce, I've heard interviews with him. He seems like a pretty I like his personality, like a chill guy, very nice guy. Even after the fight, when he was walking out of the ring, he was still fist bumping and like high fiving people on the way out of the arena, and so you gotta respect that. He was still like, a lot of people would be depressed or they'd be just angry. He was still kind of like, I don't know, he was still showing respect to the fans, and so I don't know, there's something about that, the humbleness there. But and in the interviews I've seen of him so far, he seems pretty nice guy. But the thing is, he says he's fine. He says he could have went way more rounds. He's had harder sparring sessions than that fight. It's just he got hit with one shot and that was it. But it wasn't a grueling fight. And he says he'll be back. And if he can get a rematch with Dubois, he'll take it. But he's definitely going to go back to the drawing board, see what he did wrong. So the fact that he's saying that right after the fight just shows you he's not deterred by this. We'll find out maybe a couple of weeks from now how he feels after seeing the fight. But as far as I know, in recent interviews after the fight, he's not deterred. He wants to get back and see what he did wrong. So, but the problem with Joyce is, obviously, he's 38, and the lack of defense he shows is pretty. He's not technically sound, like Tim Bradley was saying in the fight. He's terrible defense, technically terrible. Mechanics are terrible. And if you actually do kind of watch back the way he's doing things and his defense, it's not good. His defense was not good. And that's why it begs the question to me is, he wants to get back to the top for a title shot. He's disappointed that he worked his way up this far only to lose to Zhang, which was a high risk, low reward fight. He didn't really have to rematch Zhang again. He could have went on somewhere else maybe, but problem is Usyk and Fury have all the titles, so really you got to go through one of those guys. So either way, he was going to have a tough outing no matter where he went, but this will set him back, obviously. He could have bided his time and maybe got an Usyk fight or something. But let me go back to the problem with Joyce. He's 38. He's not getting better. Sure, he's with Salas, right? Cuban trainer, Ishmael Salas. But it's like, there's only so much you can teach an old guy. Like teaching an old dog new tricks. It is harder, guys. It's not a myth. There's a reason why you learn stuff way better when you're a kid. You learn when you're growing up, you're learning like your native language and English, right? You're learning multiple languages, but try learning a language later in life. It's way harder. There's a reason for that, because your brain makes connections way better when your brain is younger. It's just facts. And Joyce started boxing at 25 amateur, and he didn't go pro until 31. So that's a huge reason why he's not technically sound, and his defense isn't as good as other fighters who's been boxing since they were kids. Like, look at Wilder. He got in late. He doesn't have the best boxing skills either, but he's got his 1-2 in his right hand is so dangerous that it's carried him. But everything else about him isn't that great about Wilder either. So, and that's the difference between him and Joyce, is like Wilder became champion because he has that eraser. He has that power in that right hand, and he has a good straight 1-2. But obviously when he throws his hooks and stuff, it's kind of, he can get off balance, and his defense is not the best. But like I said, that's what it goes back to. You haven't been boxing since you were a kid. defense is what you really learn when you start as a kid. That's why it will show up later in life. You can tell if a fighter's been fighting more recently or if they've been fighting all their life. It'll usually show up in their defensive skills. I feel like the way they move, the way they control distance, not necessarily their offense. Because I feel like you can be a great offensive fighter if you get late into boxing, but I feel like you can't. The stuff like defense, the instinctual defense and instincts and knowing the distance, that's all learned earlier in your life. And it's harder to make the connections, your brain, learning that kind of stuff when you get late into boxing. That's my opinion on it. Learning defense is a lot harder than learning offense in boxing. Anyone can learn how to throw a punch, I feel like. Not everybody, but like, I'm not saying like someone who's boxing earlier, like obviously they're going to maybe have better offense as well. But what I'm saying is like getting late into boxing, you can maybe learn how to punch real good, but your defense will lack. And that's what we see in Joyce. And that's why it's going to be tough for him to get a title shot and win it. Maybe he'll get a title shot, but it's going to be so tough for him to get a belt, knowing that the Usyk's there, the Fury's there. Now Zhang's got his number. You got Wilder. It's going to be tough for him to win it. I like the guy. He's nice, but it's just like, I don't know how mentally I see him coming back from the fight, right? He seems mentally fine. He seems mentally strong. And I've been looking at his career overall. I looked at his amateur career that he started back in like 2011. He had like around 50, 60 amateur fights, so not that many. And he's gotten knocked out in the amateurs as well, so he's had a tough upbringing in boxing. He's been through it, and he's mentally rose above it though, so we know he's mentally tough. The problem is skills pay the bills. I don't know if he has the skills to get a title anymore, because I know a lot of people come back from a knockout, they're not the same. I feel like mentally he will be the same, but he just don't have the skills to get there. That's the problem. Like, I believe in his mentality, Joyce. He's a tough guy. He's durable. That's what was getting him so far. He was tough. He was durable, mentally strong. He had the basic boxing fundamental and skill, but this is the high level. You got to have more than that now. These guys have their expert level boxing skills, not just basic. You know what I mean? And they're tough as well. So he might be maybe a bit tougher than Zhang. He might be a little bit tougher than a lot of these heavyweights, but he's not as skillful though as these guys maybe. So, but then there's a lot of guys who have both. Tyson Fury, they're tough mentally and physically, and they got the skills that they've been doing since they're babies. Usyk again showed his resilience in the Dubois fight when he got dropped with the body shot, came back, knocked out Dubois. But yeah, I know a lot of you guys are going to say he got knocked out by the body shot, but the fact that he came back and knocked out Dubois says something about his mentality. So yeah, guys, it's going to just be tough for Joyce. I wish him the best. It's just going to be so tough though, because I don't think he has the fundamentals and the skills for him to win a title. I really don't. He might get a title shot maybe if he sticks around, gets a couple wins, because he is tough physically and mentally. But other than that, I would go back, maybe do the Dubois rematch. Maybe that would be good. He got the win there, but that would put his name back on the board, getting a big win. Take a tune-up maybe. But yeah. Yeah, so I think I wish him the best, but it's going to be so hard for even Ismail Salas to teach him new things at this point. And so the way the fight was going too with Zhang is he said his game plan was to kind of box him and keep away from his left hand and kind of circle him. That's why he wasn't really throwing a lot of power shots. He was more figuring out Zhang, trying to avoid the left hand and maybe taking him into deep waters. That's why he wasn't really being offensive. That's what he said in a recent interview. But it kind of made sense, I guess, what he was doing. But I don't know. Like Zhang's just he has the better ring IQ, and it showed up. So Zhang versus Herjavec in a rematch, or Andy Ruiz, Deontay Wilder, all of them for the next fight would be good. I'm not going to say Tyson Fury because he's fighting Usyk. And then for Joe Joyce, maybe get that Dubois rematch, even though he's got the win over Dubois, just to put his name back on the board. Or just take a rest, get a tune-up, try to work your way back up. But it's just going to be a tough road for him for sure. But this is Triple J Boxing, guys. Let me know how you... Did you like the fight? I thought it was a good fight. Great knockout by Zhang. And like I said, Joe Joyce, the fact that he got up from that punch was pretty extraordinary. That just shows how tough he is. But ref waved him off. Even though he did get up, I think before 10, he waved him off. It was a good stoppage, though. But yeah, so respect to both fighters. And yeah, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. This is Triple J Boxing.